Chapter 11. The second planet was inhabited by a very vain man. "Ah, a visit from an admirer," he exclaimed when he caught sight of the little prince, still at some distance. To vain men, other people are admirers. "Hello," said the little prince. "That's a funny hat you're wearing." "It's for answering acclamations," the very vain man replied. "Unfortunately, no one ever comes this way." "Is that so? Is that so?" said the little prince, who didn't understand what the vain man was talking about. "Clap your hands," directed the man. The little prince clapped his hands, and the very vain man tipped his hat in modest acknowledgment. "This is more entertaining than the visit to the king," the little prince thought to himself, and he continued clapping. The very vain man continued tipping his hat in acknowledgment. After 5 minutes of this exercise, the little prince tired of the game's monotony. "And what would make the hat fall off?" he asked. But the vain man did not hear him. Vain men never hear anything but praise. "Do you really admire me a great deal?" he asked the little prince. "What does that mean, admire?" "To admire means to acknowledge that I am the handsomest, the best dressed, the richest, and the most intelligent man on this planet." "But you're the only man on this planet. Do me a favor. Admire me all the same." "I admire you," said the little prince with a little shrug of his shoulders. "But what is there about my admiration that interests you so much?" And the little prince went on his way. "Grown-ups are certainly very strange," he said to himself as he continued on his journey. Chapter 12. The next planet was inhabited by a drunkard. This visit was a very brief one, but it plunged the little prince into a deep depression. "What are you doing here?" he asked the drunkard, who had found him sunk in silence before a collection of empty bottles and a collection of full ones. "Drinking," replied the drunkard with a gloomy expression. "Why are you drinking?" the little prince asked. "To forget," replied the drunkard. "To forget what?" inquired the little prince, who was already feeling sorry for him. "To forget that I'm ashamed," confessed the drunkard, hanging his head. "What are you ashamed of?" inquired the little prince, who wanted to help. "Of drinking," concluded the drunkard, withdrawing into silence for good. And the little prince went on his way, puzzled. "Grown-ups are certainly very, very strange," he said to himself as he continued on his journey. Chapter 13. The fourth planet belonged to a businessman. This person was so busy that he didn't even raise his head when the little prince arrived. "Hello," said the little prince. "Your cigarette's gone out." 3 and 2 make 5, 5 and 7, 12, 12 and 3, 15. Hello. 15 and 7, 22, 22 and 6, 28. No time to light it again. 26 and 5, 31. Phew. That amounts to 501,622,731. 500 million what? You still here? 501 million? I don't remember. I have so much work to do. I'm a serious man. Can't be bothered with such trifles. 2 and 5, 7, 501. 501 million what? Repeated the little prince, who had never in his life let go of a question once he asked it. The businessman raised his head. "For the 54 years I've inhabited this planet, I've been interrupted only 3 times. The first time was 22 years ago, when I was interrupted by a beetle that had fallen onto my desk from God knows where. It made a terrible noise. I made 4 mistakes in my calculations. The second time was 11 years ago, when I was interrupted by a fit of rheumatism. I don't get exercise. I haven't had time to take strolls. I'm a serious person. The third time is right now. Where was I? 501 million. Million what? The businessman realized that he had no hope of being left in peace. Oh, of those little things that you sometimes see in the sky. Flies? No, those little shiny things. Bees? No, those golden things that make lazy people daydream. Now, I'm a serious person. I have no time for daydreaming. Ah, you mean the stars? Yes, that's it. Stars. And what do you plan on doing with 500 million stars? 501,622,731. I'm a serious person, and I'm accurate. And what do you do with the stars? What do I do with them? Yeah. Nothing. I own them. You own the stars? Yes. But I've already seen a king who kings don't own. They reign over. It's quite different. And what makes owning stars to you? And what good does owning stars do you? It does me the good of being rich. And what good does it do you to be rich? It lets me buy other stars, if somebody discovers them. The little prince said to himself, "This man argues a little like the drunkard." Nevertheless, he asked more questions. How can someone own the stars? To who do they belong? Retorted the businessman grumpily. I don't know. To nobody. Then they belong to me, because I thought of them first. And that's all it takes? Of course, when you find a diamond that belongs to nobody in particular, then it's yours. When you find an island that belongs to nobody in particular, it's yours. When you're the first person to have an idea, you patent it and it's yours. Now I own the stars, since no one before me ever thought of owning them. That's true enough, the little prince said. And what would you do with them? I manage them. I count them and count them again, the businessman said. It's difficult work, but I'm a serious man. The little prince was still not satisfied. If I own a scarf, I can tie it around my neck and take it away. If I own a flower, I can pick it up and take it away. But you can't pick up the stars. No, I put them in a bank. What does that mean? That means I write the number of my stars on a slip of paper, and then I lock that slip of paper in a drawer. And that's all? That's enough. That's amusing, thought the little prince, and even poetic, but not very serious. The little prince had very different ideas about serious things from those of the grown-ups. I own a flower myself, he continued, which I water every day. I own 3 volcanoes, which I rake out every week. I even raked out the extinct one. You never know. So, it's of some use to my volcanoes, and it's useful to my flower, that I own them. But you're not useful to the stars. The businessman opened his mouth and found nothing to say and replied, and the little prince went on his way. Grown-ups are certainly quite extraordinary, was all he said to himself as he continued his journey.